Okay, at this time, we're going to see the clerk swear in the new candidates or new board members. You got
You want it over there?
Go through this here too, don't I? Lucky yours.
Yeah, I will actually probably read it. I'll read it to you, then I'll have to hand over to Louise.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
I'll follow the reading quick.
In the state of Missouri, the provisions of all laws of this state affecting cities of this class and the ordinances of the city of Ashland, and faithfully demean yourself while in office.
I do.
You sign those and then get a pen.
Yes, ma'am. Now, would everybody please rise for the pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, this time we'll call roll call. Alderman Dean.
Here.
Alderman Freeze.
Here.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Bill is absent. Alderman Lewis.
Here.
I need a motion to approve April 7th, 2026 meeting minutes, please.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Moving on to special items, Bartlett West update. Please state your name and address.
Kyle Landwehr with Bartlett West. Good evening, everybody. Mike and Steve, congratulations. I am the project manager with Bartlett West on the wastewater treatment expansion. So just here tonight to give a quick update on the project. And I know you guys have a busy meeting tonight, so I'm not going to take a whole ton of time. Steve wasn't able to join us tonight. He's got some health issues going on. But overall, the project's going really well. They're making a ton of progress, especially the last couple weeks. We got the concrete basin pretty much totally done. They're working on all of the hand railings and scaffolding that goes across the top of those basins, and they're working on putting in the equipment right now into the basins. And I'll show you guys some pictures here in a couple of slides, but you can see on the slide here, these are the next major items that we've got on the schedule. So a lot of work will occur over the month of May, and then in mid-May through June, we'll have our electrical contractor come in to essentially hook up all the control panels and equipment, and then we're targeting punch list and startup of all the equipment in mid-July. In terms of equipment procurement, essentially everything's on site. We are still waiting on one of the two generators. The second one's expected here in a couple weeks. The Aeromod equipment, pretty much all of it is on site right now. We're just waiting on the blowers and panels, and we're essentially just waiting until we're ready to set those before they ship them out, just so they're not sitting outside. And then, like I mentioned, a lot of the electrical work will happen late May into June. So that switch gear will show up, late May. And if you could click on that, I do have a couple, I've got some drone pictures that we can go through first that just show the overall site. I'll kind of try to point out a few of those. So you can see the new concrete basin there, and this was taken on April 9th, so a lot of progress has been made even since then, but you got the new treatment basin there. You can see the controls building, expansion going in. We've got a new tank here for phase 1, that larger tank. Those are 2 flow meter structures, a 3rd flow meter structure on that side right there. And then kind of in the middle of the picture there, we've got a new equalization basin, pumping station, and valve vault, yeah, kind of in that area. So I think he just does kind of a circular flyover, but yeah, they're moving along pretty well. And then there's another PDF in that OneDrive
Do
link.
you want any of these other drone shots? No, wait. They're all basically the same, right?
Yeah.
Just from a different angle.
There's some more zoomed in pictures.
We'll make sure they have the link and they can go through
Yeah.
all of them on their own time.
So these are some pictures from this week. So this is the new equipment that's going into one of the aeration basins. So you can see all that piping and such going in there. And yeah, if you just keep scrolling. So this one, they're hooking up the piping to one of the flow meter structures. That's our valve vault for the EQ pump station. That's just another view inside of it, of the valves. And this is a clarifier tank in the Airlawn Basin. So you can see, if you scroll back up to that one, so they have these triangular concrete pours in the bottom, and then they have a range hoods that sit on top of it. So most of that equipment's in that one. Yeah. And that's one of the aeration tanks there. So you can see, just comparing to the drone shots, just in the past couple weeks, they've made a ton of progress inside that basin, putting the equipment in.
What's the depth for their awareness?
Total tank depth is about 18 feet on these. So yeah, just several different views of inside the tanks there. This is another one of the clarifier tanks. There's the new building expansion. We got the brick on there and it matches pretty closely. Same thing with the roof. And then there's the 2 flow meter structures there, and then that separate concrete tank there. I think that's just a picture of equipment before it went in. So yeah, I mean, things are moving along nicely. Like I said, we plan on startup in early mid-July. We have had 23 weather days so far. So we had originally planned to be pretty much done like early June, but there's 20 working days in a month, so that put us back a little bit. So really, I mean, all things considered, we're pretty much right on schedule if you take out the weather, and they're moving along really well. No big snacks or anything, so. Any questions for me?
What's your target completion date?
Target completion, like I said, we're planning to start up the equipment in early July, so right around that time frame. Would you all be interested in doing any sort of like ribbon cutting, or a lot of times we try to get together during startup because
Yeah.
everybody's out there on site.
What we'll want to do as we get closer to wrapping up is have times that they can all be out there and
Yeah,
obviously we'll have the new board members out there to tour it before then, but as we get closer to completion, we'll want time to have them out there.
Okay, sounds
And
good.
I'm sure they'll want to do ribbon cutting as well.
Yeah, when we get a little bit closer, I'll coordinate with staff and we'll get that all set up.
Sounds good.
Any other questions?
Thanks, sir.
All right, thank you for the time, everybody. Appreciate it.
Okay, appointments into board and commissions, we have none. Scheduled public comments, we have none. Just a reminder that all public comments need to be into the city clerk on Wednesday before the meeting date. Moving on to old business, ordinance number 1549, an ordinance to amend chapter 2 as to pursuant to compensation of the mayor. Staff report, please.
I mean, as we're working on the old business items, I'll give a little lengthier report on these, even though they are second read. We do have a compensation for the mayor that's set up by code. Historically, that's expired with the mayor's term and is renewed ahead of a new mayor being sworn in. We've done this a number of times over the last handful of mayoral cycles, and we'd just like to set it as a perpetual $550 a month. We're not introducing a proposal to change the rate of pay, just making it a perpetual payment arrangement, so we're not having to revisit this as a piece of work every 2 years. So that is what you have before you, the second read to amend the ordinance to change the language to provide for it to be a monthly stipend and no set expiration date on it.
Any questions for staff? Can I get a motion approving ordinance number 1549, an ordinance to amend chapter 2 as to pursuant to of the compensation of the mayor?
So moved.
Have a second?
One second.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Dean?
Aye.
Alderman Freeze?
Aye.
Ordinance number 1550, an ordinance authorizing the appropriation of funds to certain accounts within the fiscal year 2026 budget.
Staff is providing the included ordinance that is statutorily necessary in order to close this fiscal year. This is the second reading. Political subdivisions preparing to close previous fiscal years must document, report, and pass an ordinance recognizing final budget amendments. Exhibit A highlights the beginning budget, a representation of all budget amendments for fiscal year 26, symbolizing the closing of fiscal year 26. Accounts are balanced and all necessary ordinances presented to the board regarding fund balance expenditures occurring in fiscal year 26. Staff recommend approving the included ordinance.
Any questions? I know this is second read, but. All right. Can I get a motion approving ordinance number 1550, an ordinance authorizing the appropriation of funds to certain accounts within the fiscal year 2026 budget?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Freeze?
Aye.
Alderman Dean?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Lewis? Ordinance number 1551, an ordinance authorizing the appropriation of funds to certain accounts within the fiscal year 2026. This is the court fund.
Correct. Staff is providing the included ordinance that is statutorily necessary in order to close the fiscal year. Political subdivisions preparing an annual budget and closing previous fiscal years must document, report, and pass an ordinance recognizing that deficit spending from the fund balance incurred during the fiscal year as proposed expenditures from the fund exceeded the estimated revenues to be received, plus an unencumbered balance of less any deficit estimated for the beginning of the budget year. In fiscal year 26, the court fund will deficit spend or reduce from their fund balance approximately $39,000. This was a planned and budgeted due to the purchase and outfitting of the police department with new tough books. The reduction in fund balance is acceptable as the court fund will maintain an operating fund balance well within policy guidelines. Estimated ending fund balance will be $27,688. Staff recommends approving the included ordinance.
Any questions for staff? Can I get a motion to approve ordinance number 1551, an ordinance authorizing appropriation of funds to certain accounts within the fiscal year 2026 in reference to the court fund?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Alderman Freeze?
Aye.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Dean?
Aye.
Ordinance number 1552, an ordinance authorizing appropriation of funds to certain accounts within the fiscal year 2026, and this is in reference of the sewer bond fund.
Correct. The staff is providing the included ordinance that is statutorily necessary in order to close the fiscal year. Political subdivisions preparing an annual budget and closing previous fiscal years must document, report, and pass an ordinance recognizing deficit spending from fund balance occurred during the fiscal year as proposed expenditures from the fund exceed the estimated revenues to be received plus any unencumbered balance or less any deficit estimated for the beginning of the budget year. This is solely just a technicality, as this actual fund just documents and receipts accurately the $25 million bond arrangement.
All right. Any questions for staff? Can I get a motion approving ordinance number 1552, an ordinance authorizing the appropriation of funds to certain accounts within the fiscal year 2026 sewer bond?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Dean?
Aye.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Alderman Freeze?
Aye.
Ordinance number 1553, an ordinance authorizing appropriation of funds to certain accounts within the fiscal year 2026, and this is in reference to the water fund.
Staff is providing the included ordinance that is statutorily necessary in order to close the fiscal year. Political subdivisions preparing an annual budget and closing previous fiscal years must document, report, and pass an ordinance recognizing the deficit spending from fund balance occurred during the fiscal year as proposed expenditures from the fund exceeded the estimated revenues to be received plus any unencumbered balance or less any deficit estimated for the beginning of the budget year. In fiscal year 26, the water fund will deficit spend or reduce from its fund balance approximately $65,000. This is planned and budgeted due to the completion of the lead service project. This reduction in fund balance is acceptable as the water fund still maintain an operating fund balance well within policy guidelines. Estimated ending fund balance for fiscal year 26 is $1.1 million.
Okay. Any questions? All right, can I get a motion to approve ordinance number 1553, an ordinance authorizing appropriation of funds to certain accounts within the fiscal year budget 2026 water fund?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Freeze?
Aye.
Alderman Dean?
Aye.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
New business, certifying an election, was that?
Yep.
All right. Moving on to new business, resolution number 2026-12, a resolution declaring the election results of the general election results held by the City of Ashland on April 7th, 2026, marking an appointment to a vacant seat in Ward 1.
We won't be doing the vacant seat tonight.
Correct.
So when the motion comes, you'll need to make sure to strike section 3 of the resolution. But we have the election results. You guys know the results. You're sitting in the seats. Dries with 349 votes. Steve Dean with 7. Rick with 106. And Mike, I don't have a tab total, but
26.
20 something, 26. There you go.
Any questions for staff?
Michelle.
I counted Michelle.
Okay.
Count Michelle?
Interesting.
All right, can I get a motion to approve resolution number 2026-12, resolution declaring the election results for the general election results held by the City of Ashland April 7th, striking section 3 for the appointment to Ward 1.
Is it 3 or C?
Section 3. So it'll be a motion to approve as amended or with the addition of striking through there.
I'll make that motion.
All right.
As amended.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Freeze?
Aye.
Alderman Dean?
Aye.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
All right, the introduction and first readings. Council Bill number 2026-15, ordinance authorizing the mayor enter into a contract with Christensen Construction for fiscal year 2027 mill overlay.
Where is he at?
Just a memo.
So we have a contract with Christensen Construction for our annual CIP mill and overlay. Looks like we have a total dollar amount. Get it pulled up here. $201,165. I believe he budgeted in the ballpark of $235,000, give or take, for this project, so bid came back within the proposed budget for this year's mill and overlay work.
Any questions for staff? All right, can I get a motion approving Council Bill number 2026-15, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Christensen Construction for 2027 mill and overlay.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Dean?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Alderman Freeze?
Do I need to abstain on this since my employer?
You can abstain.
Okay.
Yeah, abstain from the vote.
That does not pass, so it's an ordinance,
Uh,
which is fine. I mean, we'll just second read.
Okay. Moving on, Council Bill number 2026-16, an ordinance to change the zoning of Forest Park Phase 3.
Okay, what we have here tonight is a request by Corey Myers Development LLC for the rezoning of Forest Park Phase 3. Submitting firm is Engineering Surveys and Services, both the developer and his.
Am I allowed to do that? Is that part of this restrictions on me?
This is land use, not building code, so
Okay,
you're good.
The subject property is approximately 41.75 acres. This parcel is east of Perry Avenue and southeast of Ashland Drive. Current zoning classification is R3, high density residential, and IL, light industrial. Proposed zoning classification is R1, single family residential. Earlier this year, Engineering Surveys and Services submitted an application for rezoning on behalf of Mr. Myers. For some historical context, in April of 2018, all three phases of Forest Park were rezoned from IL to R1. Then in August of 2023, the zoning was changed to IL and R3 for Phase 3. The proposed preliminary plat at that time had site access concerns. The property owner is now asking to revert the zoning back to R1. The lack of access has been resolved with the granting of right-of-way on the south end of Rankin subdivision at the end of Perry Avenue. Staff recommends approval for rezoning 41.75 acres for Forest Park Phase 3 from IL R3 to R1, aligning with existing residential development patterns. As mentioned previously, this proposal resolves previous access issues through recently dedicated right-of-way at the south end of Perry Avenue. This was unanimously recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission on April 14th.
Any questions for staff? All right, can I get a motion approving Council Bill number 2026-16, an ordinance to change the zoning of Forest Park Phase 3?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Alderman Dean?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Freeze?
Aye.
Moving on to new business, resolution number 2026-13, a resolution to repeal and replace a resolution number 2026-8 for the TAP 9901 funding through Missouri Highway Transportation Commission Transportation Alternative Program. Staff report, please.
All right, you're gonna have to bear with me here a little bit on this one. So if you were paying attention at the last meeting, we asked the board to go ahead and cancel this TAP grant. We've had a TAP grant outstanding to build some sidewalks in town and some rapid flashing beacon sets for a number of years. When that project was bid out, it came in at over $600,000. The grant award at the time topped out just over $100,000. The board was not comfortable carrying the water on the rest of that. MoDOT was not in a position where they could come back and say, yeah, we'll increase that award and give you more money to get it done. So we went ahead, took action to cancel this grant at the last meeting, and then MoDOT immediately called and said they magically found a way to give us up to $500,000 to complete it. So I'm bringing it back to you for consideration. I couldn't just, in good conscience, tell MoDOT no. It's up to you guys if you want to take another stab at this. The estimates that we have, assuming that we rebid and bids come in the same, if not a little bit lower, we're probably looking at about another 115 out of fund balance from the streets fund as our out-of-pocket maximum to get these projects done. To date, we've spent about $60,000 on engineering. That's really our only expense on the project outside of some advertising to put it out for bid. We'll have to do a little bit more engineering to rework the bid pack. We'll have to re-advertise the bid. It's on the agenda tonight because MoDOT would like to go to the Mid-Missouri Regional Planning Commission tomorrow during their monthly meeting and ask for permission to award us that $500,000. And then we would see ordinances come back before you guys to amend our contract with MoDOT. We'd have an agreement come back for TWM, our engineer on this project, and we would hopefully turn around and promptly rebid this if they're able to secure that $500,000 for us. So again, bringing it back to you guys because it's up to you if you want to try and continue forward. I know, as we previously discussed, there was thoughts that we could get this project done for several $100,000 without MoDOT if we just did it on our own. At this point, if they're able to get us that $500,000, it's the cheapest way we're able to get these improvements done. We certainly wouldn't be able to build that Liberty sidewalk for $100,000 or less. So if we're able to get it done through this grant, this is kind of the last Hail Mary to get it done.
What about the $10,000?
It's already gone, and YMCA would not be considered in this, so MoDOT talked to YMCA. They're already under contract with CL to build their trail. They're not gonna back out of that contract or come back, so we would just be looking strictly at the Liberty sidewalk, the rapid flashing beacon sets at the South Campus and at the high school.
And the school's not willing to throw in anything?
I haven't asked. But as it sits right now, again, about $115,000, what we're estimating for out-of-pocket max on this to get it done.
What fund would this come from?
Streets.
115 out of our pocket?
That's the out-of-pocket max, yeah.
And is the only sidewalk, okay, there's a sidewalk in front of the school right now, correct?
It's a
Would that be
sidewalk to
redone?
connect. It's just to make the connection. There's no.
And that land's owned by the school already, but they just have not developed it. correct?
Part of it is the school, part of it is a private individual, I believe.
The only thing that's not owned by the school is the one residential lot right there on Allegiance. The rest of it is all school property along that stretch, yes. And obviously our triggering requirement for sidewalks is when the land develops, which is why there's no sidewalk there currently.
I've said my piece on the sidewalk, but it is an opportunity to.
We have already given the funding back. Sounds like Sam's willing to go to a school board meeting and ask for it back.
Yeah, I'm real popular at school board right about now.
I'll love you some more.
I'd be willing to do that because basically at our last meeting with the
Facility meeting, yeah. Well, and
with the facilities meeting, when we did discuss that, we did throw out the possibility that 10,000 could still be used for sidewalks, and there was no disagreement among the board members that were there.
So the one thing we do have going for us from a school perspective is their traffic study is now complete for the north expansion, which does account for these improvements that are included in this grant. So I mean, they will have to construct them eventually, even if we don't. So there's certainly an opportunity to revisit that with the school, but as it sits right now, if the bids come back what they were, 115,000 is what we're estimating as our additional out-of-pocket max.
I mean, if we go ahead and approve it tonight, they come back 500,000, and then all of a sudden the bids come back and we're out of pocket 300,000, so do the same thing, cancel.
Correct.
Oh, shit.
Not costing you any money today, just asking you to amend the previously approved resolution.
I guess I'm confused. If they're upping it to 500,000 and that was about what the previous bids were, that included the Y.
It was 617 with the school.
617
With the school.
with the school and the
Or
Y.
with the Y, sorry, with the Y.
With the
track.
Y?
Yeah.
Well,
So the
if
total
that,
of-
if
the
that
total
Y
of-
has been pulled out of it,
The total of the components remaining is 520,000. And the way it works, like, yes, in your mind, okay, well, should only have to pay, but there's three components. So you have the actual construction, the engineering, and then the construction observation. So those are three separate draw windows. So you're going up against the totals of each of those, which is how you get to that 100K. Because we'll actually only be spending somewhere in the ballpark of like 460,000 of actual grant dollars, whatever it comes out to be. But that, again, also assumes that we hit that 517 as a bid number, or 520 as a bid number. Obviously, we're hopeful that we can come in a little cheaper. We might also reconsider doing some things like, we had bid that they would just buy everything. So like the rapid flashing beacon sets, so we'll need to review the bid price versus the actual purchase price. Maybe that's something we buy and provide to help drive that down, but that would kind of go into updating the bid pack as we go through that with the engineer. And that'll be sent over. I think it was $4,500 to update the bid pack and redo the plan set and restamp them so that they're dated and approved for bid.
And again, the Y is totally out of it now.
Correct.
Now, the school owns about, what, 2/3, 70% or so of the frontage?
That's more than that. It's
About
probably
75.
75 to 85 probably.
So I see 3 lots,
Yeah.
2 owned by school, which if the school ever did develop that, they would have to be put in a sidewalk. And if we, so I don't feel bad about asking the school,
So they gave 10K last time is what they gave.
which is not a lot.
Correct.
So,
Well, they can't pay the teachers, I'm sure they can't build a sidewalk. Good point.
We will ask for the 10K back. It sounds like that was discussed at their facility meeting last week, so at least it's on their radar already of potentially keeping that money for sidewalks, so.
All these meetings are recorded,
oh yeah, I know.
so, yeah, I speak freely about the school district right now, but just FYI. I appreciate that.
All right. Can I get a motion approving resolution number 2026-13? A resolution to repeal and replace the resolution number 2026-8 for the TAP 9901 funding through Missouri Highway Transportation Commission.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Alderman Freeze?
Aye.
Alderman Dean?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
All right.
All right, discussion. Discussion and possible action regarding city administrative recruitment processes. All right, in your packet, you have 3 companies that have promoted or actually solicited to us their search and supplying an interim for the company or for the city to replace Kyle. Any questions, any concerns, any suggestions?
So I did have actually suggestions.
Sure.
Not necessarily on which company to use, but and I don't know if we're, being new to this, I don't know if we're actually those 3, but I'd recommend, in my opinion, that I think we should post it even if we're gonna use a company to move forward with. Because, I mean, I know traditionally we haven't necessarily used a search company here. So I don't know that I see a downside to posting it unless we were gonna do that already.
The only downside, I mean, to your point, no, getting it out there, I don't have any objection to doing that. I wish we could post the job a couple weeks ago. The only downside I see is if that executive search firm has any recommendation around pay and benefits and changing that, which we could certainly post it with a broad range, but
Sure.
generally folks want to see what that pay is and have an understanding of what it is.
That makes sense.
With that being said, I mean, Doris and staff have talked to a number of firms. All of them could turn around very quickly and get a job posted.
Yeah. Do the advertising for us.
And as kind of Doris laid out, you have a spectrum. On the executive search, you have a spectrum. You can do low end where they're just doing the advertising and using some of their marketing, or you have the high end where they're doing the whole search, all the interviews, helping establish all that and really taking the burden off the city. Same with interim. Tons of different ways to go about that. There's multiple firms in Missouri that offer that services. There's multiple firms right around Missouri that can offer interim services. We have a number of folks that have reached out with these companies that have qualified individuals to be considered for interim. It really comes down to what you guys, how you want to approach it. I mean, I've got a month left. It's going to take you some time to get somebody in here. Generally, to do an executive search, most of these firms are suggesting 8 to 12 weeks to really advertise it and get a good pool of applicants to pull from. So I think it behooves the city to have an interim. the board previously had some discussions around making an appointment of someone on staff. I can say with a level of certainty that nobody wants to be appointed as the interim. You're welcome to talk to them and see if they would consider doing it, but as of now, and again, I'll defer to Doris because I've kind of been staying out of it and letting Doris do what he wants to do with it in conjunction with staff. But my understanding is staff has talked to some of these firms. Some of those firms have put forward potential former retired city administrators for consideration. They've expressed a willingness to come interview in front of the board. So really just, again, it comes down to what you feel is appropriate and how you want to address this.
And forgive me again for not knowing for sure, but if we did post it, are we required to put a salary range? Because I think the state of Missouri generally does, but I'm not aware if we have to or not. I'm assuming that would be the bigger draw. But
You're going to have a hard, I mean, you'll certainly get applicants, but they're going to want to see the pay. That's going to be the first thing they look at is how much does it pay to go move to Ashland, Missouri.
Sure.
But again, I mean, we have a adopted pay plan with pay range, so we can advertise that range and hope it aligns with the potential recruitment firm and what they would suggest for the market right now.
And I guess the only other question I would have is again, I come from the business world, so if we use a recruitment firm and we recruit somebody ourselves, then we don't pay the recruitment firm, correct? We pay them for placement specifically? Just making sure.
Most of the contracts, the way they have it established, to your point, if they don't, they'll earmark, 15% for placement, and if they're not the ones placing it, then they would not be obligated to pay that portion.
Makes sense. Thank you. That's really my only thought on potentially posting it, because if there is a possibility, maybe there's someone, maybe not that far, maybe it's St. Louis, Kansas City, maybe someone even in the area, or, some way for us to draw that without spending money on it. That's just my thought. That's
Yeah, so I mean, the recommendation I made, like I said, it's kind of on the spectrum. You can spend, I think the proposals were in like the 10 to 14 range just to do the posting and the marketing.
Sure.
I don't know that there's any value to doing that. If you're going to hire a search firm, my recommendation, having gone through process at multiple cities, would be to do the executive level search where they're actually doing the screening, doing the background check, setting up those first round Zoom interviews, scheduling the interviews, giving you all the materials. I mean, it's not to say that all of you won't be on an interview panel, but generally how it goes is you'll have a first round, which may be with the mayor and some key staff, some community stakeholders, and then maybe potentially the whole board as a whole consolidated group. So that's where I see the value in spending the money, is having somebody here to coordinate and facilitate that whole process.
Sure.
But really it comes down to how you all want to approach it at the end of the day. I mean, I've given Doris my recommendation, take it or leave it. I mean,
yeah, fair enough.
How many different companies were we looking at?
We've got 3, but we also have a 4th one.
Yeah, we had Nathan had mentioned a firm, so we had contacted them, or actually they had reached out to us, so they threw out their search package, and it again fell within that range, that 14 to 25,000 for doing an executive search. In terms of interim,
Which included an interim?
did not. That's just the search.
Now, one of them did, right?
Interim solutions, the very first one, did include the interim and the search, and provided all the materials and did everything for us. And they would set up the interviews and pretty much weed out the good and bad and filter them down to us. And their interim is on site for 20 to 25 hours, and then also on call 7 days a week, 24/7. And they live, majority of his people live in Missouri, close by. So,
And the same with SGR. I would estimate their price would be about the same. They just gave an hourly plus incidentals. Assuming you wanted to look at that 20 to 25 hours a week. Obviously, if you want more, you just raise that dollar amount. But same thing. They have a number of retired or former city managers and administrators that live in Missouri that would be available to step in as interim.
so you have questions or comments or discussion points? Or one that you want to?
That second one that you mentioned.
Yes,
Good. That's
This is the one that we
Yeah, so-
originally.
This is the one that came and talked with Doris and staff already. So again, I think what Doris is looking for is just some guidance, so if he needs to bring in all of these firms, or if you have he just needs some guidance, basically, of the direction you guys wanna
We
go.
have 30 days.
Mhm. I like the terms that the interim services is offering us. You know, it's like, initially that sounds like an awful lot of money, but when we take into consideration what we're getting for that and the fact that we won't be paying Kyle's salary.
Yeah.
So that will
Plus they're a 1099.
help balance that out a bit.
Plus they're a 1099 too.
Here, pass.
I can't stress enough, I'm not against him, sir.
Mhm.
I'm just curious about that.
If there are others that are close to that, you know, they're worth talking to, you know, to kind of give you some guidance, Breeze, but,
Well, and that's the thing, I don't know that there's, I mean, I'm sure there is one somewhere in the country, I just haven't found one locally enough where it would probably be cost effective to find an all-inclusive service. Even SGR, it's two separate components of SGR, two separate contracts, one for interim, one for search.
so you're basically saying none of the others that.
I don't have a
approached-
comparable for you for interim services, no, because I mean, as they're proposing, and this is what interim service sent over today, just with resumes of some of the potential options that they could bring to the table. And SGR did send over some resumes later today as well for who they have available that would be immediately available.
Well, as we've discussed earlier, you know, time is of the essence. I'm not really seeing anything negative about interim solutions. So that would be my recommendation.
Okay. How about you guys?
We probably want to bring him in, so.
And what we would probably propose is a special meeting either later this week or next.
Yeah.
To bring them in,
Just an interim solution? Or do you want to bring another one?
whatever they want to do.
I mean, it doesn't hurt to bring him in and talk to him. See if I feel it's worth the $12,000 a month, I guess.
Definitely turn it up.
So what we'll do is
Is that why it's so hot in this room? We're budgeting for $12,000 a month for an intern?
I forgot to turn it down.
No, staff completely supports Mr. Michael's recommendation and Mr. Linker's recommendation to the board.
what we'll do is do a special meeting next week, Monday. Would that be possible?
I mean, I assume you guys would want Tuesday as your normal night if you wanted to wait till next week, but I mean, we can do it. Obviously, you'll need to check.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I want to get a hold of these guys and see if we can set up times. But we'll put that on their agenda on Monday or Tuesday.
And some guidance. Do you want them to just bring in interim solutions? Do you want them to bring in anyone else? Interim Solutions is local, so they would
Yeah.
be here face to face. The other ones would be remote.
Yep.
I feel like we've talked about it for 2 meetings now, interim solution keeps on getting brought up, might as well just bring those guys in.
Okay. I'll get over Mr. Hancock tomorrow.
Definitely have to have a combo with them, so.
Okay, so we'll do that. We'll just get hold of them and see if we can set up a meeting next week. Monday,
Yeah,
Tuesday.
check its availability and we'll go from there.
Okay. All right. Moving on to reports. ABC Trivia Night is tomorrow night. I know Kyle's gonna talk on this, but the SBEC breakfast with Martin Field will be here Thursday morning. And then I noticed the trailer issue over on Justin Lane has been corrected, so that's been taken care of. And then also, Oak Street, down by the bottom where the stop sign is, there's a few potholes popping up, so we'll get somebody to look at that real quick, or
Yeah.
next week or so. All right. And that is my report. City Administrator report.
Just a few items. So as the mayor mentioned, we have the leader breakfast coming up on Thursday morning, doors at 7. Those that ask for a ticket have them. If you guys want to go, if you have the availability to go, you'll need to let me know. Then I'll get tickets arranged.
Did I put my name in there?
Yeah.
Okay, that's.
Forgive me for not knowing what that is, but what is it?
So Southern Boone Economic Development Council, our local economic development authority here in Southern Boone, they do a annual breakfast. They call in, they have a guest speaker keynote. This year it's the governor, so they're pretty excited about that, but they'll have all the local leaders. So Dr. Roth will talk a little bit, I'll talk a little bit, Kip Kendrick will be there. We'll just get updates from the local entities. The airport will give an update. Ready, the Economic Development Authority for the whole county and region, they'll give an update. So it's a good opportunity just to network and learn. So if you have availability, doors at 7. I think they're kicking off around 8 o'clock with the actual formal presentation.
And where's this at?
Optimus Club.
Fantastic.
So, like I said, let me know if you want to go. Then I'll have to get you tickets, but not a big deal. New code book. I know we approved and adopted the new code book. It is now live on the website in the nice, pretty searchable form. So please go check it out. We're excited to have that wrapped up and completed. And then you all got an invite to the Callaway Bank's grand opening April 30th from 4:30 to 6 at their new location over in Setter Suites. I'll hand out binders after the meeting. Historically, I've just emailed out pertinent information to folks when they're appointed to the board. I went ahead and put them in binders this year. That way you have a physical reference and you don't have to search back through emails. Just a few important critical things in there. Welcome letter, elected officials handbook, copy of the budget, some other important documents. So we'll give you that. Read through it, ask questions. Try and bring it to meetings if you can, especially when we're talking budget. That way we can refer back, or if we have updated sheets, we can give you updated sheets. But we'll try that. We'll see if that works a little bit better than storing it on your iPads or storing it in an email. But I will pass those out and we can go through them after the meeting. And that is all I have.
I just want to make one more comment for the new board members. Kyle sets up a monthly meeting with board members. So if you look at your calendars and get with Kyle and set up a time that you guys can meet during the day or evening or whatever, that way it can catch you up to speed. If there's anything that you want to ask questions about, you can always answer those before you're there. So that's good. City Attorney's report.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Real quick, James Clark, representing Lottery Municipal Law, and I think Nathan mentioned this at the last meeting, but I'll mention it again. We are getting ready to do some city official training, which we do for a lot of local officials every spring. And the one that's coming up that's local for, I guess, especially the 2 new members running staff is Friday, May the 1st. It's going to be in Fulton. The registration deadline is this Friday. I did not bring a brochure. Kyle, you may still have one from previous meeting. If you don't, I'll send an email to Kyle tomorrow. But
love to have you there, but $35 gets you breakfast and lunch, and then we do programs, different legal topics, everything from sovereign immunity to personnel to contracts, all of those things that come up regularly as a city official. So be happy to have you there. We still have some room in Fulton, but like I said, the deadline for registration is this Friday, April 24th. So we'd love to have you there. And that's my update.
Thanks, sir. Police Chief Muffley.
Thanks, sir. Well, nothing major this month. Had some stuff that's been moved to the next meeting, I believe. We're crowded tonight. Everything's going really well. We still have one opening, of course, soon to be two when we add a position here on May 1, but working on that, trying to do some recruiting as best we can. We're taking advantage of our training situation with the new regional training center up at the Sheriff's Department. We had some people that have attended up there that's so far working out well for us. And they're doing good things up there, and we're going to be pitching in with it. And so really, everything's been running on pretty smooth as far as we know.
All right. Any questions for Chief?
Scott, could you just give our new board members a real brief synopsis on the training that we're able to tap into?
The sheriff entered a joint deal basically with a lot of local money, a lot of state money, and built this regional training center up here. And we've entered into a MOU with him for all of 2026. We can get all of our in-service training done at no cost to us. And after that, for the next, where it's a 3-year agreement, so 2027, 2028, it's $150 a cop. And quite frankly, if all we do, one of the big things we'll get out of that is in-person defensive tactics training. And with their new indoor range, they have, again, complete climate and lighting control. They're going to be offering low light firearms training, which is always very, very difficult to get done in an outdoor setting based on range hours and weather. And so even if all we get out of them is defensive tactics training and the low light firearms, are absolutely a bargain for us. So, and they're really doing a great job up there. Setting up is going to be really neat for us for a long time. So, is that what you need? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you should have we put out a report every month on our activity that should be out in your packet. I'm assuming. Did you guys get did you guys get a packet? Okay, so it should be in there. I'm always glad to answer questions about that. I know may not be 100% self-explanatory, so if you have any questions about that, I'll always be glad to field those anytime.
Any questions for Chief? All right.
Thanks, folks. Appreciate it.
Moving on, community development report.
Reports in the packet, but let me introduce myself to the new board members who don't know me. My name is Darren Ratterman. I'm community development. So if you have any questions at any time, feel free to.
Thanks, Sam. Treasurer report.
My report is also included in the packet. I'm Kelly Martin. I am the city treasurer and been with the city since 2014. The only thing I want to point out in my report is that the fiscal audit is scheduled for June 9th with an overview expected in August of 26th, which is our normal scheduled time. I don't perceive them to be here more than a couple hours. I've already sent most of the information that they require to them and expect it to go smoothly. Operational updates, public service, we did hire our final employee. They are full staff, and we also did hire someone for sewer, and they are expected to start on Monday.
How's two ladies doing?
The second one will be starting on Monday.
Okay, good. Cool. Moving on to board Alderman. Any questions for treasurer? All right. Moving on to board Alderman. Alderman Lewis.
I just want to welcome the new board members. I'm kind of the old man of the group. I think I told the press during the election that this was my 5th term, but it's actually starting my 6th plus a year. So I started in 2015. So if that gives you anything. I don't even pretend to know everything or to know at all what I'm doing, but any questions that you have, feel free to ask. I'll I'm open, I'm honest, I'm blunt.
I already know that about you.
Yeah, Steve and I have worked through the church in the past, so, but welcome, and, just keep in mind, even though we're all individuals, we're one voice once you become part of the board.
Alderman Freeze,
No report.
Alderman Turner.
I just want the press to note that Alderman Lewis clearly cannot be taken for his word. Being that he lied saying it was fifth, but it was actually sixth. Couple things. I got a phone call this week about, it's not Mary Jane's place, but the other goat place south of town, over by the daycare.
Emily.
Apparently the smell is like really bad to the point where like the kids are complaining about it. So
The daycare is complaining?
Yeah.
And they think it's originating from Emily, not Mary Jane's?
that's what they said.
Okay. Darren will check on it.
And then I got another question about zoning. For the love of God, I don't want to rehash the chicken situation again.
You're gonna have to.
But if something is zoned in the city limits as A1, can they have as many chickens as they want? Or is it still by ordinance, they can only have 7 chickens?
I don't believe we have any specific regulations for A1 that would permit them to have any more than the max allowable.
What is it, 7, right?
Okay, so even if they're zoned A1,
Correct.
they can only have, so.
The only benefit to A1 is actual livestock. They can have livestock.
So they can still have hogs, they just can't have chickens.
They can have chickens as well. They don't have any special regulation to my recollection. We only have one specific section about chickens, and it's right there in animals where it talks about livestock and keeping livestock.
Okay.
So regardless of
So
their
even if
zoning,
it's zoned A1, they still can only have 7 chickens. Okay. All right. But hogs, cattle, all that stuff, it doesn't matter.
it does. That enclosure has to be a certain size. They can only have so many animals based on the size of that enclosure, but
It's all in that
generally.
code book.
Correct.
I can't hear you.
It's all right. We can talk about it later.
Alderman Dean.
I don't really have much to report, just saying thank you, everybody for being so welcoming. I'm sure this will be things I'll have questions on, try to get up to speed. I really appreciate it. Appreciate being here and looking forward to doing some good work together. So.
Thanks, sir. All right. Moving on, general comments from the public. Anybody?
When are you gonna asphalt Lloyd Martin Road if we asphalt probably more than 6 years?
That's.
Since we done selling property off the Rim properties, you put
Who is
more
this?
houses in.
Can you come to the podium and state your name?
Just get his name. He's fine where he's at. Just get his name.
I just asked a question.
Can you introduce yourself, please, and give us your
I'm
address?
Paul Garrett.
All right, thank you.
I'm representing myself and my sister. We own 160 acres on Lloyd Martin Road. So if we decide to subdivide it, we have to put asphalt streets in. When are you gonna asphalt your street for us to have asphalt streets?
Is that in the county?
Robbie Forbes is being asphalt this summer to make a loop around the city of Ashland because we got a big problem with traffic because of 3 roundabouts. And we only have 1 entrance in town and 1 entrance out. And if me and my sister decide to develop our property that's inside the city, with 3 houses to an acre, we have a problem. And we're discussing it. Because we can tie onto the natural gas line and the sewer line. But the sewer ain't gonna be a line big enough to handle that many houses. This is what's coming down the pike. And as for the animals, there's 21 chickens, 14 guineas, 18 ducks, 9 goats, 5 sows that's getting ready to pig on this A1 property we're talking about. And we also have 2 dogs that's not on lease. They have bit me twice on my own property. So somebody needs to patrol this.
There's your animal guy right back there.
Have any of these been reported, sir?
Pardon me?
Well, we just need you to report these incidents when they
I
happen.
reported it more than you could think a stick at.
Okay,
I had to call the county to come and enforce the dog thing, and they picked them up on Highway 63. Because the lady was leading her dog, and one of the dogs bit the lady, and her dog went down the road. And then they put them dogs on Facebook. Want to know who owned them. So the owners picked them up 5 days later.
I can look into it. First I've heard of it.
I figured that. Tony Ash owns them.
Tony does?
Huh?
Tony?
Tony. And he put on Facebook that he's getting ready to build a bigger chicken house. I think you'd have to have a permit to do that, wouldn't you, inside the city?
Depending on the size of it, yes.
Does it make any difference what size?
It does from an accessory structure perspective. So just depending on the size, you certainly might need a permit.
Just asking.
Thank you, Paul. Any other comments from the public?
I do.
Can you
I'm
come to
gonna,
the podium and state your name and address, please?
Corey Myers, Parkersburg, Missouri. I'm gonna ask for another 3 or 4 minutes added to the 3 that I get. I think it's a pretty important topic and it may take a little bit longer.
Go for it.
I've got some pamphlets to hand out for everybody. Kyle, you seen this?
Go ahead, pass them out, pass them out.
Thank you. This is a letter I got in the mail the other day, saying I can't build houses for 18 months or get permits for 18 months on basically conduct, bad conduct. I'm not gonna go over all this stuff. I'm gonna go over the first one. The rest of them, we'd be here all night. It's the illegal occupancy of 6525 Yellowstone Drive. On the next page, you can see that I got a sidewalk inspection and it was approved on 4/13/23. After that, I've asked for a final, and the sidewalk collapsed in utility easement. Darren said he wouldn't give me a final until I fixed the sidewalk. The sidewalk had already been passed. And he would not give me a final. The next page is the date that the city of Ashland accepted the infrastructure of phase 1, Forest Park. The utility easement is part of that infrastructure. Next page is a response from Darren and an email. I apologize if you were under the impression the city would fix the sidewalk. I do remember mentioning that you could reach out to the developer. That would be necessary though, because you were one of them. At that time, it was dated Friday, August 29th, 2025, I was not. Powers took over that, Larkin Powers took over that phase one. Here's a copy of me requesting a copy of the permit. Leslie Mayer sent it to him. In there, you can say, I noticed where there was comments written at the bottom, so I called Leslie back and asked her if those notes were written in there when she pulled them from the file, and she told me that she didn't know because basically Darren pulled them from the file. Darren responded the next day. I did write those notes before Leslie sent it to you. I had filled out the notes needed to be added. I tried to add them. It's important to me to add notes for context of historical value. I am not perfect and sometimes I miss adding the notes, but I do my best, or I give my best to give the historical information as I can. I apologize, the note should have been added the first time I saw the sidewalk in its current state. That was dated August 19th, 2025. That was, when did this permit start? 4/13/23. So over 2 years later, he wrote these notes and doctored the permit.
That is incorrect.
No, that is correct, Darren.
Yeah.
I've got enough evidence with you on everything. It'd be very,
Stay on topic, Corey.
okay, I'll go on. This last page is just one of the comments that Darren's been around, defamation of character to individuals in this town and people I do work for. On May 30th, 2025, my wife and I spoke to Mr. Rudderman for approximately 45 minutes on the phone. This call was to discuss ongoing issues we've had with the detention area directly behind our property. We had many conversations with him regarding this matter, and on this occasion, the following comments were made regarding the work we had done to level our backyard to make it more functional for our family to use. The work was completed by Dirty Deeds Excavation Company, which I own. This conversation was 4 months ago at the time and was not recorded or in writing, but these are the comments made by Mr. Rudderman regarding the work we had done and the owner of Dirty Deeds. Had I known who was doing your yard, I would have told him not to use him. Ask your neighbor what he thinks of Corey Myers. He's one of the worst developer contractors in the area. The neighbor's the one that got me that guy's yard. That's one of many comments that Darren's made around this town that I'll bring witness after witness and testimony after testimony at. That's all I have for now. The rest of these comments, I've got emails, and I don't know if you just thought it'd be a good idea to write this down before you left and put the city in a bad situation, Kyle, but that's what you've done.
Yes, sir. Any other comments?
And here's the 21 violations for that house. For the permit that I was not given. And then my wife was paid another $1,200 for another permit that I couldn't get a final on. I'd like the $1,200 back. And I'd like these tickets to go away.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.